Next, I have the pleasure of welcoming the Algonac School Superintendent, John Strycker, right?
Yes.
Dr. John?
Yeah, John's fine.
Come on up, and you got...
Thank you.
Don't worry, I won't read the whole presentation to you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening to everybody, and thank you for inviting me this evening. I'm here for two reasons. One is simply, actually three, to get to know you as we continue a relationship between the school district and the township and city in the best interest of our children. I know it sounds like a cliche and so on, but it truly is. All the work that we do with the Board of Education, this board, and the city is really for the best interest of our children and our future. And I truly believe that. And so that's one reason, is to just be here to get to know you and build that relationship. Secondly is to communicate to you a message that's very redundant. They're actually starting to tease me because I'm presenting it everywhere I go. Anyone who will listen, I'm presenting it. And that is the proposed consolidation with the school district. And so I'd like to communicate that this evening. And then also just to receive some feedback from you regarding the fact that, you know, we are going to do this, or I should say we're proposing to, and if we do decide to do this, working with you in regard to, we're going to have some buildings now that will be vacated, and just again the partnership of what happens with those buildings, and it does have to do with the township, city, and also the school district. And so that is to receive feedback from you and input, because I am new here, and so I do value your input. I value the input of the community as we work through this together. The consolidation itself in the handout there is to have two campuses, and that is one, a K-6 campus that would consist of Millside, which would be the K-1 building, and then the 2-6 building would be Algonquin, and then the 7-12 building would be the high school. Point Trimble would be used, as it currently is used, for preschool programs, also for the alternative school, and then we may move our computer lab from the high school over to Point Trimble because we want two cafeterias in the 7-12 building. In short, abbreviating it again, you sit through enough meetings and see enough information. I do realize that, and I'm on that side of the table quite often, so I'll abbreviate it. In the second slide there that says why transition, simply put, we're out of money. To get to the point, and to be very blunt about it, our school district is at a point where we do have some funding, but I'm a very conservative person, and it's not the type of funding that I would want and reserve. We'll be down to anywhere from 2 to 5% fund equity, and my goal would be to be at least 10%, if not higher, 15% fund equity. And so that is why, to get to the point, the necessity for the proposed consolidation. But on the back slide that sits by itself, and that is what I'm very passionate about, and why every chance I have an opportunity to present to any group I do. Anyone that had any question, and I know I'm saying this, I'm on TV, correct? So
Smile.
Yeah, I do open this up, and that is anyone that has any question, I will buy lunch just the first time. 2 kids in college, and so I make it clear just the first time because I'm trying to pay off their college bill for them. But I will buy them lunch and have lunch with anyone that has any questions, because I want them to see on this next slide the passion that I have and the belief that I have and the vision that I have. Why is it positive to have a 2-campus school district? I have been very blessed in my life, where I've been superintendent the past 10 years, to be in a school district that had the top test scores in the area for 10 years, almost in every category. A school district that was up to 23 or 24 state titles in sports. A school district that was composed of a school family that truly loved each other and cared for their children. Part of that is where the children came from. They came from great homes, no doubt. But a lot of that was truly because we had a K-6 and 7-12 facility, 2 facilities, K-6, 7-12. K-6 and 7-12, all the students and parents go through together. And so they build a relationship with each other. and you become a tighter-knit community because of it, and I have lived that. Everyone watches out for everybody. And when those kids go walk off the graduation stage, everyone in those stands knows each one of those children because they've gone through together. More importantly than that is the staff. We know the children. And even in the 712 building, central office would be over there. And even the central office myself would know those children when they walk off the stage. There's less transitions. You lose children in between the middle school, junior high, and the high school age. That's the transition that students are in. That's a transition where students will attach to something. It may not be positive, but it will be something. And when you're a 712 facility, you know those students, and the expectations are set. And so you know those kids and you don't lose them. The school district I came from, the graduation rate was anywhere from 97 to 100%. It would be the same thing here. Why? Because you know those students. So when you see them in the hallway, you say, nice job at the basketball game, Charles. John, good job at the school play. Karen, I heard something happen in your family. We're very sorry. How can we help you as a school district? That's very powerful, even for me right now with you. When I say your name and I know you personally and I care about you. We don't need a government program. And we had a little discussion here before the meeting about government programs. We don't need a government program to fix some of the ills of our society and impacting our children. And that is simply this. You know your children, you love them, and sometimes that love is discipline as well. But again, in this kind of makeup, you have a 712 facility that expectations are set at 7th grade, even discipline all the way through. And so I'm very passionate about the consolidation. I really believe that it will bring our community together even more than the community already is. And so, again, necessity, why do we need to do this as a school community? It's going to save roughly $600,000 to $800,000 a year. That's conservative. Maybe more like $800,000 to $1 million per year savings. That's why we need to. But I really believe it will make us a better community, a closer community, benefiting our children. The spreadsheet that you see basically shows the enrollment numbers. So you can see that there is a definite decline of enrollment. And down at the bottom in the highlighted area, it illustrates the proposal, and that is Millside at the bottom where it says K1. You can see in that first year there'd be 243 students in that building. Algonquin would be a 2-6 building. There'd be 650 students, and the high school would have 815 students the first year. And then you can see the years on out, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, and 19, 20 projections. So you can see we're definitely declining enrollment. On the flip side of that back page of the spreadsheet, you can see the class sizes. In 1980, the school district had 3,200 students. In 1989, 2,700, almost 2,800. 1991, 2,600. 1995, 2,500. 2000, maintained at 2,500. 2005, 10 years ago, 2,364 students. 2010, 1917. 2013, 1,809. And last year we were 1,710 students. And so we're definitely declining enrollment pretty sharp. I'm not as concerned, and I don't get wrapped up in that in a negative way that a lot of people do. Again, I see the positive of once we right-size and consolidate. I can share this with you. It is really neat to be part of a school district where even as superintendent, when those students walk off that stage, I know them personally, and it's very powerful. I really believe in this consolidation for a lot of reasons, and I think it will be one of the catalysts in bringing this community together even more than we already are. And so I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of work, and I want you to know I'm not naive. The devil's in the details, and but it's really, we've received a lot of positive feedback, and so we're going to move forward. The presentation, or the formal recommendation, is going to go to the Board of Education in December. After that time, then we would begin to work on the details of the consolidation. So, are there any questions?
When do you plan on, if everything went, do you figure this for next school year?
Yes, it'd be for next school year, correct.
Hey, John, you mentioned you wanted a 10 to 15% fund equity. What's your fund equity now?
We're at around 11 to 12%. Our audit actually will receive it formally this week, but we're about an $800,000 deficit this year.
Oh,
and so,
okay.
So yeah, our fund equity at the end of this current fiscal year is going to be anywhere from 2 to 5%.
Okay.
And so, I believe as recent as 5 years ago, I believe it was around 23 to 25% fund equity.
Okay.
So that was one thing that was hard for me to communicate, and that is a structural deficit. You know, it's like the federal government national debt where it compounds. And so if you have $1 million deficit, if nothing changes, it could potentially be at least $1 million deficit, if not a $2 million deficit the next year.
Right.
And so you can go through that fund equity pretty quick. And so that's why coming in, I want you to know about me, and you don't. And a lot of serious faces look back at me because I want you to know I'd rather have taken time to build relationships with you first. Than
You don't have time.
Yeah, there was no time because it was a structural deficit, and on the path we were on, we would be out of money at the end of the following school year, the following fiscal year. And at that point, the state of Michigan comes in. And the state of Michigan doing their job, but the state of Michigan, it won't be personal to them. Decisions would be made in Lansing from an office impacting this community. With me, it's personal. And so that's why working together, I'd rather face this head on.
Right.
So, good question.
I've been involved in some downside, well, they don't call it downsizing, they call it right-sizing nowadays. But I know you always lose staff, and that's where the real savings is.
Right.
About how much staff are you gonna?
It's what I'm looking for is roughly $250,000 administration, which would be two administrators, 8 teaching positions, which would be, and it's not going to necessarily work out where it will be 4 in the K-6 and 4 in the secondary, but 8 teaching positions. And thank you for saying that. A lot of people don't understand. You really don't save that much from the actual closing of the buildings.
No, it's the staff.
We'll save maybe $60,000 by turning down the thermostat, so to speak. And there is some saving with operations, except it's not as simple as, since you've closed 2 buildings, you can cut that proportional amount of custodians and maintenance, because you still do have the same amount of students. So you do there is some reduction there, maybe a $50,000-$60,000. Same with secretarial. You still have the same amount of students. So it would be primarily proportional-wise. The savings would primarily come from administration and then teaching staff on out. And so I get asked the question, the follow-up question to that a lot of times is, well, if we consolidate,
And then builds up.
and people ask, will class sizes be smaller because you have your grade levels together? It actually gives you the ability to have larger class sizes. And what I tell people is I want the smallest class sizes possible. So make sure everyone understands that. I do understand that the smaller the class size, the better, the more optimal learning environment. However, I can't predict what the state funding will be and that declining enrollment. I mean, look at those numbers. Even last year, we lost about 100 students. And so the consolidation gives us the ability to adjust to that. But make sure you know I want small class sizes. But consolidation actually gives us the ability to make them larger when we need to. Because if you look at the numbers, you can see we have bubbles. You'll have a class of 150 followed by maybe a class of 110, so you have bubbles that go through. The beauty of consolidation is all your sections are together, so you can make those adjustments within the same building. And so make sure you hear that correctly. I want small class sizes. However, am I going to guarantee it? Because as a result of the consolidation, heavens no. It may be larger class sizes because I can max that out according to budget, state funding, and pupil count primarily.
I'm trying to figure out where the light at the end of the tunnel is here. But I'm confused. If you are going to save on the order of $800,000 with the consolidation, and you're $1 million in the hole, when are we going to catch up and go positive? How are we going to do this?
Well, the teachers, I'm glad you asked that question. The teachers actually opened up their contract, which was unbelievable, because I presented this plan opening day. So here I am, your new superintendent. Nice to meet you. Let's have a good school year. Oh, by the way, we're going to consolidate and cut some of your teaching jobs and so on. after that, that teachers association had a meeting, and then later on that month voted to actually take a pay cut. They opened up their own contract to take a pay cut. So in other words, there is some savings in there from the pay cut.
But that's not in this 800,000?
That is not in that 800,000,
Okay.
correct.
So there,
So, but I'm glad you asked that, and I'm sorry I didn't answer it correctly, but I do want to make sure I put in a plug for the teachers. Heck, yes, I want to. That shows that there really is a team spirit as we approach this together, but that is correct. But just so you know, and you'll get to know me over time, and probably tease me like everyone else to where I'm very conservative. And so, you know, when I say 600,000 to 800,000, I believe the savings will be more, but I've never gone wrong in my life being conservative. I've seen people go wrong the other way around. So I believe the savings could be after the first year, because the first year we'll have to put some money back into the buildings to make the middle school appropriate for elementary. But after that first year, I really think it's going to be more like 800,000 to $1 million. So, yeah.
Do you anticipate the cost of busing to greatly increase?
Yes, that will increase.
So that
Actually,
will offset some of the 600,000 to 800,000, or did you take that into account?
I've taken that in consideration. So that's why I'm using the figure $600,000 to $800,000.
And
It's
just-
at least going to be one additional bus route. I do know that.
And just say the kindergartners and first graders out in Fairhaven, how long will they have to spend on a bus?
It's the same, and, you know, I get that question often, and it is the same that the 6th through 12th graders are now. And so it's whatever, to answer the question for people watching this,
Okay.
it depends on when you get on the bus, when you get off. So if you have in your neighborhood, and you're listening to this tape, a student, or know your neighbor or someone that you know has a student, it's whatever their time is now for the 6th or 12th grade. They're busing in now. It'd be roughly that time. My hope would be that we could add a bus route and cut back on that time, because I do realize they're younger students,
Yeah.
and I do realize it's not optimal. And know this about me, and again, this is the downfall of you meeting me tonight, and I'm coming in with this presentation. I'd rather have came in and say, hey, I'm John Strycker, I have 2 kids in college, nice to meet you. You know, this is one of the downfalls of coming in with this presentation, is that I want you to know about me that I know this is not optimal. I don't want kindergarten students to ride on the bus for an hour to get to school. I want you to know that about me. I love children and I care about them deeply. It's one of these situations where we're doing what we have to do. So, but that would be the answer for people. Whatever the children in the students, I should say, because they're older in your neighborhood are riding, I'd be about the same.
I got one last question.
Yes.
Point Trumbull L, that's the one that's going to be closed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But,
No.
or,
No, it's already closed.
No.
It'd be Algonac,
oh, that's right, Algonac, I'm sorry.
Elementary, and Fairhaven.
And Fairhaven, okay. Yeah, what's the plans for those buildings?
And that's where, you know, and I met with the city on this, and that's where my commitment to the city, township, and the school board and school community is that we'll work together. As far as we certainly want something, if we can sell or lease those facilities to something that's beneficial to the community, we will. Mm-hmm. Actually, today I met with the director of the Council of Aging, and she and a couple of her coworkers toured the Algonac Elementary facility, and you know, I've asked her to put the word out to maybe some assistant living or housing for the elderly that would maybe be able to lease that facility. I see that as being a plus to the community, to where you're bringing in jobs, you're bringing in a reputable company that could afford to purchase or lease that facility. And so my commitment at this point is that we'll work together as a school community. But I really won't get into the details in that until we have approval in December.
Okay.
So.
Any other questions for John?
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Okay.
All
I
right,
could see. I felt there was a question coming. So
I have, but
that's fine.
it troubles me, so.
All right. Okay.
all right, thanks a lot, John.
All right.
Thanks
Very
for
good.
your time.
Yep. Thank you. Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you, good luck. If you need anything, let us know.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yep. All right. Now for the phone.